Jesse Kelly Show. Let's have some fun. On a Thursday, oh my goodness, we're almost there. The week is almost over. Smile. It's been a long week with a lot of ups and downs, and we got all kinds of good things, bad things, various things in store, on tap. I don't know what it is. Things are coming on the show tonight. So first we're going to discuss the hold a certain group of people have on the Democrat Party, preventing them from reforming. It's amazing. It's fascinating to watch. We'll talk about that. Yes, we'll touch on this big, beautiful bill that's coming for us all. Talk about the media hiding Joe Biden's decline. What's going on with Gretchen Whitmer praising Trump's tariffs? There's an angle there people aren't seeing. Democrats hate voter ID. We'll talk about why. And did Facebook, did they commit treason against the United States of America? All that, plus an incredible invention from Generation Z, and so much more coming up tonight on the world-famous Jesse Kelly Show. Now, I want to begin, actually, with this little clip. Probably haven't even heard it. You definitely didn't watch it because it was on CNN. Anderson Cooper sat down with Bernie Sanders, and they did one of these town hall events where you bring in a bunch of dirty communists and then you act like the questions are totally out of nowhere, and you call on the communists in the audience and they get up and speak. And there was just this little 10, 15-second soundbite where Bernie and Anderson are sitting there, and they called on this woman in the crowd, and here's how it went.
We're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Maybe you couldn't hear because of that horrible way they all speak, so I'll play it for you one more time. Listen to the very end. Listen to what she says.
We're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
I actually use they, them pronouns. Thank you. Oh. And you heard Anderson Cooper, the host, who was kind enough to call on her. Immediately. Oh, my goodness. My bad. Okay. Pause on that for a moment. Put that little thing in your back pocket. No, don't get excited. We're not going to do a long history thing, but how much do you know about the Praetorian Guard of Rome? Just a little bit. Most people just know a little bit, and that's fine. You don't need to know more than a little bit. But the Praetorian Guard, what were they? Well, first, there were no weapons allowed in the city center of Rome, except by the Praetorian Guard. The Praetorian Guard are mostly known as the bodyguards of the emperors. In fact, Augustus is really the first one who brought that to be. He said, hey, all these guys, and you should know the Praetorian Guard, they were the hand-picked veterans of the army. So you know what that means. Hand-picked, you're going to pick the studs. Who are the biggest, baddest, scariest dudes in the Roman legions? You, and you. Here's a new uniform. Here's better pay. They got better pay. You are now my bodyguard. And if you're an emperor in Rome and you would like to not be assassinated, it probably pays to have a bunch of highly trained, tough as nails, armored men surrounding you. Think of it as if it's the ancient Secret Service, if the Secret Service were the only ones with guns. Okay? Think of it that way. The Praetorian Guard. And emperors, Augustus was really the first, or Julius Caesar, depending on what you believe. But the emperors, after Augustus, they all used the Praetorian Guard in this way. But something happened over time. Because at first, like I said, it was Augustus, and he handpicked these men, and they're very tough, and they kept him safe. And they had some other rules in Rome, crowd control and things like that. But for the most part, that's what they were, emperors' bodyguards. Okay? But these emperors, there were good ones, many, many bad ones. You know them. The Praetorian Guard, it remained right where it was with all this power as the emperors would live and emperors would die. Sometimes the emperors would even be assassinated. One emperor in particular, Caligula, a man you know, he was assassinated by his own Praetorian Guard. The head guy who did the assassination was a guy that was made fun of by Caligula all the time. Caligula called him effeminate and mocked his voice. And then one day Caligula, he went to the games, the gladiator games, and then he ducked out into a little tunnel. And in fact, I saw this tunnel entrance when I visited the Colosseum in Rome in winter. I was dying to go in it. Apparently no one can go in it. They haven't excavated it, but they have the door to the tunnel. The tunnel was an underground tunnel that led from the Colosseum to where the emperor lived, to the emperor's palace. It was so, obviously, the emperor can go to and fro from the gladiatorial games without being mobbed or assassinated. Except Caligula decided to duck down into this tunnel without realizing his Praetorian Guard, they were going to kill him down there. And they did. They stabbed him a bunch of times, spit in his face. He died ugly. And Caligula had it coming, believe me. He died ugly. And then something interesting happened after that. You see, there was a man named Claudius. Ever heard of Emperor Claudius? Claudius was born with a limp, or they say he got it during his youth. I guess I shouldn't say born. He got sick. He had a limp, and he was kind of deaf, very deaf. It depends on who you were talking to. And we don't have a ton of sources on this, but a lot of members of Claudius's family had been murdered during the various emperor purges. We'll kill this one, kill all his family members. We'll kill this one, kill all his family members. But they never killed Claudius. Why? Because at that point in time, this was a much different era. If you were in Rome and you were a man and you walked around with a limp and you were kind of thought of as deformed in some way, you were just thought of as like a stupid nothing that was someone, you weren't someone anyone had to be concerned about. So Claudius was so non-threatening, so powerless, they didn't even bother killing him. Just kind of left him there. After the Praetorian Guard killed Caligula in that underground tunnel, they went looking for Claudius. They found Claudius hiding, allegedly whimpering and crying in fear for his life in a room. And the Praetorian Guard looked down at Claudius and essentially said, "Hey, get up. You're the emperor now. We decided it." There have been many times in history I could have shared a story like this where a very powerful person will empower a group of people, maybe they're bodyguards, maybe they're mercenaries, maybe it's just a constituency that put them in power. And what happens after that is a very interesting, very wild situation in that the emperor has all this power, but the group that put him there or keeps him there or has the ability to remove him from being there, they equal, if not surpass, the power of the emperor. Think about it as it pertains to Rome. The emperor of the most powerful country on earth, basically a god king, he can speak a word and a country 1,000 miles away will be invaded and conquered. That's true power, right? I saw the palace, I saw the hills, I saw the marble, I saw it all. The emperor ruled it all. And yet, the emperor knew, they all knew, they knew that if the Praetorian Guard wants me gone, I'll be gone. If the Praetorian Guard wants a new emperor, they'll simply kill me, every member of my family, and they'll go grab a new emperor. So he wasn't all powerful. They were kind of, in a weird way, in this really gross relationship where they were both all powerful. Yes, the emperor had tremendous power, and yes, he had the ability to, if he so desired, to call in some troops and crush the Praetorian Guard, as Constantine the Great later on did. But that went both ways, you see. What's happening right now in the Democrat Party in the United States of America is, in a way, virtually identical to the situation I just laid out. I think it's so fascinating. Horrifying, but fascinating. And I can't wait to watch it play out. I'll explain exactly what I mean in a moment. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a spectacular Thursday, reminding you that tomorrow is an Ask Dr. Jesse Friday, all 3 hours dedicated to you and your questions, whatever you ask. Email them in now to jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Friday's always a good time. Okay, so I just played this clip on CNN, or I should say from CNN, with Anderson Cooper, this clip of this nutball. Of course, she's a civil rights attorney. Excuse me, I go by they, them pronouns.
We're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
She spoke for maybe 2 seconds, and you can actually hear the insanity in her voice, can't you? You can hear it. It's dripping off of her. And I just talked about how the Praetorian Guard of Rome was first there to guard the emperors, and then they really realized they had the power. Soon they started killing emperors. They started selecting their own emperors, whoever they wanted. America's Democrat Party has made a lot of terrible, terrible mistakes. We're talking about politically here, I should note. We're not going to address how bad they've been for the country. We're just talking about internally their politics. They've made many, many, many terrible mistakes. And one of the mistakes they made, maybe the biggest mistake they made, is killing them to this day. And here's what they did. You see, communists are very, very good at analyzing who is likely to be a friend and who is likely to be an enemy. They're very, very, very good at that. They will look at this person. Okay, so this is he's a white guy. He's 20 years old. He's not college educated. He works construction. He's getting married to a woman. He has a dog. That guy, I don't have to know anything else about that guy. If I'm a Democrat, I automatically know that guy's probably not going to be my friend. That guy's probably going to be my enemy. And on the other side of it, here's what the Democrat Party knows, and they've known it for years and years and years because they study trends. They study things. This is a woman. She is miserable. She hates men. She hates herself. She is single, 55 years old, and she has a master's degree. The Democrat Party knows that woman, they don't have to know anything else about her. They know that woman is likely an ally, a strong, strong ally. Now, here's how they approach that. What they do, because everything is friend-enemy to them, what they do is they look at the white 20-year-old construction worker guy who's not gay, and they automatically, without knowing anything about him individually, he's automatically treated as an enemy. They will pass rules, laws, do whatever they can. Get that guy. Be against that guy because they know he's likely to turn out to be an enemy. And on the other side of the coin, the 55-year-old master's degree single woman, they know she needs to be courted. She needs to be appealed to. We have to go after her. Her vote. She's likely to be not only one of us. It's not just that she will vote Democrat. That demographic, the highly, highly educated, miserable single woman, she is most likely to be a power broker for us. She will campaign. She will donate money. She will donate time. That is a foot soldier. Appeal to her. Go for her. And they've been so intent on that demographic that they've actually taken critical steps over decades and decades and decades to create more of her and fewer of the dudes. You know why there are so many miserable single feminists out there? It's been a focused effort to keep women miserable. You realize that? It's been done on purpose. If you tell me a young woman is going to eventually be happy, maybe even married. I'm not saying that it has to be every woman's lot in life, but maybe she gets married, maybe she has children, maybe she's a homemaker. Democrats have always understood she's going to betray them. Eventually, she'll get to the place where she will likely stop voting Democrat because she's found happiness. If we can keep her miserable, she will be with us forever. In fact, hey, let's get her some drugs. She's got anxiety. Of course, everyone does. Let's get her a lot of drugs. Let's get her on some anti-anxiety medication. We need to get her into a therapist. We need to ensure that this woman is told repeatedly over and over and over again that men are stupid and men are oppressive and she's oppressed and America sucks. And we just need to pour this stuff into her over and over and over and over and over again. Not only will it encourage her to become more of a foot soldier to our side, it will virtually guarantee that no man will ever want to be with her because no man wants to be with a feminist. It's never happened in the history of the world. It never will happen. I know sometimes men end up that way, but no man ever has grown up saying, man, I really want a woman who's going to bust me up and be bitter all the time. That sounds like fun. If they can guarantee that she will be single, miserable, and drugged out, if they can guarantee those things, then they have guaranteed legions of foot soldiers. And in defense of their strategy, as evil and horrible as it is, it's been very successful for a very long time. You can take it all the way down to the court system, completely bent against men and pro-women. Have you ever talked to somebody who goes through a divorce? You've seen it. Completely against men and for women. Courting them, recruiting them, ensuring, hey, this is our new Praetorian Guard. I'll finish that story in just a moment, that little thought in a moment. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a spectacular Thursday. Remember, if you miss any part of the show, you can download the whole thing on iHeart, Spotify, iTunes. Back to what we were talking about. Democrats have spent years, decades and decades and decades creating and recruiting highly educated, single, miserable women. They are the beating heart of the Democrat Party today. I could point to you that chart that I've pointed to many, many, many times before, where you go down the various demographics. Married men, they vote Republican. Single men, they vote Republican. Married women, they vote Republican. But it's always, all those numbers are about 52, 55% Republican. But then there's this outlier. It's eye-popping when you look at the chart. Single women, 70% Democrat. So you look at that chart and the communist looks at that chart and you come up with different ideas. But I'll tell you one idea the communist definitely had. He looked at that chart and he said to himself, well, we need to make sure more women stay single, period. And so they've done everything they can to create and recruit mentally ill single women. And when I say mentally ill, I'm not exaggerating that. What was that number they put out? I think it was 60% of them have been diagnosed with mental health issues. Diagnosed. Those are just the ones who've been diagnosed with it. Communists saw them as being the ultimate Praetorian Guard, the ultimate foot soldier. Find these women, create them, recruit them, and they will lay down in traffic to ensure we can burn down America. They will help us do it. They will cheer for the mass importation of rapists. These are the women who are that sick and that mentally ill, they'll be okay with it. In fact, they'll cheer it on. But Democrats have now run into a gigantic problem, and I don't know how they fix it. Disney's heiress, she's Abigail Disney's her name. She's a wretched communist and a mega donor. She fears for her party's future. Quote, we have no leverage, no uniting message. Quote, we could all show up on the streets, but what would be the uniting message? The chaos is deliberate. It's meant to give us too much to handle. Do we go out there about the environment? Do we go out there about DEI? Do we go out there about gay rights, about women's rights? Picture the normie voter in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, And these are the issues that are pushed forward by the Democrat Party. He doesn't want any part of that. The mentally ill single woman has become the ultimate Praetorian Guard holding back the Democrat Party, holding the Democrat Party hostage because they now control the party, they have the power, and they hold the Democrat Party hostage. The Democrat Party, there are Democrats, especially the older ones. You've heard them. We've played sound bites of it. They'll drip this out on the news or drip that out on the news, or even some of them are even younger. One of them was that congressman, I forget where he was, someplace back east, a Democrat. He even came out and said, hey, look, the whole trannies and women's sports thing, that's probably something we could get away. He got so savaged for that, we haven't heard a word from him since. Joe Biden made the mistake of calling an illegal during his State of the Union address. His press team booked an entire press tour so he could apologize for calling an illegal immigrant an illegal immigrant. The mentally ill single white woman, she is the beating heart of the Democrat Party, but she is also now its sword and shield, and they cannot move without her permission. She won't allow any of the reforms that could bring the Democrat Party back into relevance, and it is amazing to watch it. Amazing to watch it. Anderson Cooper is a card-carrying communist sitting on stage next to a United States senator, an admitted socialist. They call on this woman who gets to speak on CNN. Hey, so would you like to answer a question? And the first thing she does is scold them for using the wrong pronouns.
We're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Listen to Anderson. Oh. They don't have the power, or at least they don't think they have the power to hold these women back. Now, I hate to give Democrats advice, and I know none of the commies hate listening will listen anyway, so I could tell you that someone's going to have to put that woman in her place. You realize that? And this is what I mean by that. If you were a Democrat and you wanted to get elected so you can keep destroying America, you understand that Bernie Sanders is actually a great example. Bernie Sanders is a long-serving Democrat. He's not going to lose his next election. He'll, of course, die in the Senate like every other senator. None of these people can ever seem to retire. Bernie Sanders should have stepped in immediately right there and said, whoa. Okay, stop. We need to stop this. We're having a town hall. We're sharing concerns. We're figuring out the direction of the party. And you're not going to sit there and scold us with this kind of insanity about your preferred pronouns, because we can't be this as a party anymore. And if we continue to be this as a party, we're never going to win another election. So don't you ever lecture me again, and save these lectures for somebody else. We will now call on somebody else. No more of this insanity. You sit down, shut up. You're done. We're talking to somebody else. They could do that. And you know what? Bernie Sanders could get away with it. He could. You might think there'd be screeching and yelling, and of course there would be, because feminists screech and yell all the time. But what it would do, if one Democrat stepped up and said that, it would give others the courage to step up and say, hey, yeah, you know what? We're done with this whole thing. And none of them will. None of them will. And so now the mentally ill woman, she is the power inside of the Democrat Party. Immigration, in fact. We'll talk about immigration really quickly. Anybody, you don't have to be a political person. Anybody who's at all sane knows you can't import barbarians en masse into your country. In fact, you know that the normies even know this, because immigration was one of the number one reasons Donald Trump won. Democrats got elected. They opened up the border on purpose and flooded the country with murderers and rapists. Even normies were all, hey, whoa, you can't do that. It's a huge reason. If you look at the poll testing, it's a huge reason Donald Trump won the election was immigration. Now, knowing that, have you seen a single Democrat utter a word about the intentional opening of America's borders under Joe Biden? The only thing I've heard was an anonymously sourced United States senator gave a statement. I think maybe it was to Politico. I don't know. It was a while ago that said, hey, yeah, maybe we didn't manage the border thing properly. That was the most emphatic statement I've heard, and it was given anonymously. Now, this is a political party that knows a wide open border is a loser with all the sane Americans. But you know who loves an open border? Mentally ill single women. Because third world barbarians are viewed as rescue dogs for them. They become their children. We've talked about this before. They take the motherly instinct of these women and they aim it at foreign barbarians. The only demographic in this country that wants the mass importation of murderers and rapists are mentally ill single women. Every other demographic you need to get elected doesn't want it. And yet the entire Democrat Party embraces it because they're held hostage. It's amazing to watch. All right, we're done with that. I'm going to talk as briefly as I can about the budget because I'm about to blow a gasket on it, and then we'll move on to other things. Hang on. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a spectacular Thursday. Do not forget tomorrow's an Ask Dr. Jesse Friday. And you need to email your questions in now to jesse@jessekellyshow.com. So I've decided that I'm going to do one segment on this and one segment only, at least today. And then I'm not going to do any more because I don't like to present problems without solutions. And I have a black pill moment for you. Okay. So first, remember all these senators who said this?
This is Biden's inflation, and he needs to own it.
Due to rampant inflation spurred by reckless government spending and consumer prices are escalating at a historic pace.
Inflation is real. Don't dismiss it.
This is a national emergency. What I would like to do is get the administration to focus on this.
There's an old expression that when you find yourself in a hole, quit digging.
President Biden's inflation is strangling a free people. The American people deserve better.
Your life is more expensive because of government spending. Your life is more expensive because of government spending. One more time. Your life is more expensive because of government spending. And there's a gigantic bill. It's going to make its way through the House and it's going to make its way through the Senate. And there'll be a little T crossed here and an I dotted there. And then Donald Trump's going to sign it. And then all those Republicans, every single one of them, top to bottom, who's told you that inflation's bad because of Joe Biden and inflation's bad because of Joe Biden and inflation's bad because of Joe Biden, they're all going to be as responsible for it as they already are. I am convinced completely that we will not stop our spending until there is an economic collapse. And I am convinced that it will not change. The American people don't want it. The politicians we elect don't have the guts to stop it. Do you understand what we did during World War II and why we did it? Wars in general are expensive anyway. You have to feed, you have to supply the troops, you have to pay the troops, they're very expensive. They were expensive when it was swords and shields. They're expensive when it's boats and tanks and planes. Wars are very, very expensive. And we supplied not only our own army, not only our own military, I should say, we supplied the entire planet during World War II. We spent inhuman amounts of money to fight a global war that was fought in Alaska, in Africa. It was fought in Italy. It was fought in Germany. It was fought in the Philippines. It was fought in Guam. It was fought all over the planet. And the United States of America spent an inhuman amount of money to fight a war like that. Did you know that the United States of America, as we speak in 2025, is spending money adjusted for inflation at the exact same levels we were when we were fighting a global war in the 1940s with no war at all? There are no cuts. Nothing of any significance. Everyone, wow, in the future, that's a lie. Come on. I was born at night, but not last night. Those never materialize. There are no cuts, and no one even wants cuts. No one's calling for
We
them.
have great things happening with our military. We also essentially approved a budget, which is in the facility, you'll like to hear this, of $1 trillion, $1 trillion. And nobody's seen anything like it. We have to build our military, and we're very cost conscious, but the military is something that we have to build, and we have to be strong because you got a lot of bad fortune.
The military hasn't passed an audit in years. There's inhuman amounts of waste and fraud inside of the military, and we're just going to throw them $1 trillion too. $1 trillion for you, and $1 trillion for you, and $1 trillion there, and $1 trillion there, and $1 trillion there, and $1 trillion there. We aren't even reversing the COVID increases in spending levels. In fact, we're not even attempting to do so. During COVID, we decided to spend as if we were fighting World War II again, and we've never gone back. There's no appetite for it. Ooh, now I got more money, more billions, more this, more. Ooh, give me more, give me more, give me more, give me more. Give it to me. I'm a senator. I need it so I can hand it out to my state and build an airport named after me. I need it as a congressman so I can hand out money for my district, and I can pave this road, and I can do this, and I can do that. Oh, more. And the American people believe it too. They don't ever vote. American people never vote to cut spending, ever. Ever. It's never a driver to the polls. The American people simply don't care. Instead, they'll run to the polls, and they'll vote for guys like Senator Kennedy because, man, he makes some funnies.
I consider Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez to be the leader of the Democratic Party. She's entitled to her opinion. I'm entitled to mine. As I've said about her before, I think she's the reason there are directions on a shampoo bottle.
Oh, it's so funny. Oh, my gosh. Oh, directions on the shampoo bottle. Oh, that is good. Wow. Man, that is good. Anyway, he votes for every spending bill that comes across his desk. They all do. Oh, not all of them. That's not fair. But enough of them do. And the reason I'm only doing one segment on it is, I hate to even put it this way. I am completely without hope when it comes to spending. I am without hope. The American people don't want it to stop. Democrats don't want it to stop. Republicans don't want it to stop. And so what's coming is a guarantee. That's what's so exasperating about this thing. It's not left, right, or middle. It's math. You can't do this forever. And when that end date comes, and I don't know when it'll be, when that end date comes, it's going to be more painful than you can possibly imagine. And no one cares. And you can't get them to care. So I'll just say one more time, and then I'm going to let it go. Government spending is the reason you have a lower standard of living than your parents did. Government spending is the reason you can't afford groceries or lumber or to take vacations anymore. And no one wants to stop government spending. So there, I feel better.